Congressman, thanks so much for being with us.
You bet. It's good to be with you.
So you spent more than 3 hours with Jared Kushner this morning behind closed doors. What was the big takeaway from what he said, and do you feel like he answered all your questions?
I do feel like he answered our questions. I think it was very productive. All the members that wanted to participate had, I think, very good questions from Mr. Kushner. Certainly we asked about his now public testimony, his written statement, but there were a lot of other areas that we wanted to cover as well. And the long and the short of it is our investigation is looking at a whole set of what we call Russian active measures, Russian efforts to influence both campaigns as well as administrations, what we see them do in Europe. We're trying to figure out what of those tactics did they use here. So we had a broad range of questions for Mr. Kushner. There is more we need to learn. There are more documents we're trying to obtain. So we do expect, and they demonstrate a willingness to come back, that we'll have another opportunity to get these questions answered.
One of the big questions is this idea of potentially setting up a back channel to communicate with Russia during the transition. Did you ask about that, and were you satisfied with his answer?
I certainly don't think he should be pushed out for recusing himself, or to make way for an attorney general that's more malleable and that can basically confine what Bob Mueller can investigate. I fear that's exactly what the president has in mind, and the Senate ought to reject that at all costs. We will not allow him to interfere in the investigation, and it's appalling to me, and I think quite transparent. This is exactly what the president intends.
Well, the president's been tweeting a lot about Jeff Sessions. He's also been tweeting about you. Sleazy Adam Schiff, the totally biased congressman looking into Russia, spends all of his time on television pushing the Dem loss excuse. I know you've responded to this. What's your response to the president? And what's it like being in the line of fire of a President Trump tweet?
Well, my response has been a couple things. One, I think he spends way too much time watching TV, which is part of the problem. But more seriously, I think that this is really beneath the dignity of that office, and it disturbs me to see just how low this office has become under his stewardship, where you have the President of the United States using Twitter to hurl insults at people. Obviously, I'm in a now large and growing list, along with Meryl Streep, the Broadway musical Hamilton, and a variety of others any given day of the week. You know, to quote the president, it's quite sad that he would use the office this way. I do have to tell you that when I read it, I had the sensation I was a character in Ghostbusters and I'd just been slimed by the President of the United States.
But no Oscar, no Tony for you, at least not yet, right?
No.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your views. Always a pleasure to see you on a very, very busy day in Washington. Congressman Adam Schiff, thanks for joining us.